Does anyone recognize what all these names are? If you know, you know. And I love it. And I love the color of this shirt. It's so cute. I'm very glad that I was able to get it at Book Bonanza. Okay, today I didn't know what I was gonna film until I literally woke up this morning and was like, I wanna talk about soulmates. So we're gonna talk about soulmates. So I just wanna talk about some of my favorite romances with books featuring a couple that I truly think, no matter what obstacle, no matter what life path they went on, these two characters somehow would have found their way to each other one way or another, because truly they are just meant to be, and they are soulmates. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Also, sorry, I think the lighting is a little weird. The lighting is coming through this window and I'm filming this direction. Actually, should I try to adjust it? Maybe this is a little better. You can just see the messy counter behind me with the paper towels and that bag of chips from lunch yesterday, and then that Amazon box that I haven't thrown out yet, and then Aria eating in the background. But you know what? We're gonna cover it up with books. So anyways, I wanna talk about soulmates because as much as I love romances, not every single romance that I read do I think these characters are A, soulmates, or B, will actually stay together past the epilogue. There are quite a few divorces going on in my head. First up, I have one of the most frustrating romances I've ever read in my entire life. And also, I should just preface this. I feel like I always do videos like this and then people comment down below, what about this? What about that? What about that? Yes, I agree, but I can't put every single soulmate, every single dark hero, every single toxic couple, I can't put them all in one video. So obviously there are a lot that I left out. So I could definitely do a part 2, but these are just the ones that I picked out that I felt like talking about today. That doesn't mean that there aren't others that I think that are soulmates. So first up, we got A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner, one of the most frustrating books I've ever read in my entire life. And this one follows Jamie and B. So this one is what? A second chance, right person, wrong time, friends to lovers romance. So the story first starts out, well, actually it starts out like in present time. Jamie shows up to B's house in the pouring rain with a wedding invitation for B's wedding, that she is getting married to another man. And he shows up and he's like, you can't do this. Dorian, please don't push that off. Okay, thank you, sir. And he's like, you can't do this. And then we get blasted back into the past, and then we see how we got to where they are in the present. And Jamie and B, truly, there is just never a time that works for them. Start the story then when they are in high school and they first start becoming friends, and B is definitely interested in Jamie, but Jamie is then dating one of B's friends, and then so it follows them throughout high school and then going to college, post-college, all of the highs and lows of both of their lives and all of the different periods that they want to be together, but it just truly, the timing never works for them to come together. Really, this is an example of a couple that go through so many things to try to finally be with each other. They go through so many highs and lows, so many ups and downs, and truly have to be patient and work to make their relationship happen. But truly, I think they could have been like 60 years old down the line, and if they still weren't together, they would still somehow find their way back to each other, because they are just truly soulmates and they are meant to be, even if life circumstances have kept them apart at certain times. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely frustrating. Cannot recommend this one enough. I don't think a Candy Steiner book will ever beat this one for me. But I want to talk about Harley, Rose, and Danner from Good Gone Bad by Gianna Darling. So I would actually argue that 3 out of the 5 fallen men couples, I would say maybe 4 out of the 5, I would qualify as soulmates. Honestly, there could be an argument for all of them. However, Harley, Rose, and Danner are my favorite. I love Nova and Lila. However, I kind of think that you need to like be more versed in the series to jump in, because they're book 5 and I kind of feel like you need to read them in order. Good Gone Bad, I would argue that you could jump into this and kind of get a general idea. I do think it would be better if you read books 1 and 2 beforehand, but I think you could jump into this one and like kind of make your way around it. But this one follows Harley and Danner, and it is a motorcycle club romance, and it is a bad girl, good boy romance, and an age gap romance as well. So Harley Rose is the daughter of Zeus, who you meet in book 2 if you read them in order, and he is the president of the fallen MC, and he was sent to prison, and he's now back out and released, whatever. But with him going to prison when she was younger, Rose and her brother were kind of left under the care of Danner a little bit. Like, he kind of gave them like a watchful eye while their dad was in prison, and Danner is a cop. However, I wouldn't say he's like a dirty cop because he doesn't do bad things. He definitely like wants justice, but he's fully aware that there's corruption everywhere and he just wants to protect the people that he loves, and Harley Rose is one of them. And when she calls him out of the blue one day and says, I need your help, and it turns out that she has killed her current boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, and needs her help, he is right there to be there for her. That's a really poor explanation of this book. So sorry to this couple. But this truly, I feel like, is the most underrated book in the entire Fallen Men series, and I just absolutely love these two. She has a lot of like anger inside of her and a lot of like fear, and the way that Danner just calms that inside of her and also helps her work through that and just shows that like he's not going to abandon her, that he's always going to be there for her, and that she shouldn't accept anything less than the best because that's what he thinks that she deserves and what he knows that she deserves. And their relationship is just beautiful, and it does have a BDSM dynamic to it that also I think is a very big part of their relationship and like the trust that these two have in each other. Next up is a newer one that I read recently, and that is My Life in Shambles by Karina Halley. So this one follows Podrick and Valerie. I'm probably saying his name wrong, so sorry. This one is like a friends to lovers kind of fake dating-esque romance. So Valerie recently breaks up with her fiance and she loses her job and she goes home for the holidays, and then when she is there, her sisters are planning a trip to Ireland, and they're like, you don't have any responsibilities now that you can't go, or like any excuses to kind of use, and Valerie is ready to start saying yes to things in her life. So she agrees and she goes over there, and one night out at a pub she ends up meeting Podrick and they hit it off. They have a great night, they have a one-night stand, and it just turns into more, and Podrick ends up asking her to come home with him and be his fake fiance for his ailing father, who is, I don't remember what he's sick with, but he's currently dying, and Podrick kind of wants to show his dad that like, hey, I'm good before you go. And she ends up agreeing to do so, and it is their romance. This one, oh my gosh. The level of connection that these two had just right off the bat, and the way that Karina Halley wrote the two of them into truly making them feel so three-dimensional and making their love feel true so early on in the book. Like, I genuinely don't know how she did it. This was one where you could like feel their connection. You didn't just read their connection. And again, time and space, I mean, different countries even, I just feel like at some point in their lives they would have had to cross paths because the universe would have just had to bring them together at some point, and they would have found their way to each other through whatever circumstances they had. And that is the definition of a soulmate to me. Next up, one of my all-time favorites, and it's extremely popular. However, I feel like a lot of people are daunted because it is a 10-book series, but I love it with my whole entire heart and soul, and the couple that I'm picking for it is the ones that kick off the whole thing, and that is Lily and Lo from Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. So these two have 5 books in the Addicted series, but then they are also intermixed with the Calloway Sisters series, which are another 5 books following Lily's 2 of her other sisters and their relationships. Addicted to You is what kicks it all off. So this one follows Lily and Lo, and it's a childhood best friends, 2 lovers, fake dating romance again. So Lily and Lo both have different addictions. Lily is addicted to sex and Lo is addicted to alcohol, and they fake date each other to kind of help enable each other and cover up their addictions from everyone around them. So they are both in college. However, they're both not doing like great in school. They both come from very, very prominent, rich, wealthy families, and their families have a lot of expectations on them, and that also puts them kind of in the public eye a little bit. So that's why they also use each other to help kind of hide what's truly going on inside of themselves. And as the book progresses, they realize that they don't want to only fake date, they actually want to really date, but they both don't know if they can be enough for the other person over their addictions. Basically follow them for 5 books over the course of this series, and truly, I think all of these couples in this series are written so well, and I truly would make an argument that, again, all of them are soulmates, but truly I think Lily and Lo, there is not a single other person out in the world that would make them as happy as they make each other. I think other people could find other people that they would be satisfied enough with to live a satisfying enough life, but not these two. These two truly are meant for each other in every way, shape, and form. They are so alike in like their interests and things, but then also just always putting the other person first and overcoming their hardest challenges to choose the other person at the end of the day over and over and over again. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love them soulmate material. Well, damn, y'all know I could not mention Balance by Lucia Franco, Rhea and Kova. So this is a 5-book series following the same couple, and it follows Rhea and Kova, and it is an age gap coach athlete, very forbidden romance. So Rhea has dreams of going to the Olympics and being an Olympic gymnast. However, the gym that she is at currently is not going to get her to the level that she needs to be to compete. So she begs her dad to find her a new gym, and he calls up his old buddy Kova, who is a former Russian Olympian and now has his own gym, and he sends Rhea to go and train with him. And when she first arrived, they immediately butt heads. Kova is just a huge asshole, and he's very rude, and he does not think Rhea has what it takes. But then obviously over the course of this 5-book series, that changes, and they end up pursuing her goal of the Olympics together, while also then engaging in a relationship that is very forbidden. There's cheating in here. Kova does have a girlfriend. I don't care. It's a fictional book, so like cheating doesn't bother me, but if it bothers you, then just be aware of that going into this one. This is my favorite series of my entire life. I talk about it all the time. If this is the first video that you're hearing from me, you might be like, wow, she's kind of talking fast about this. That's only because people who watch more of my videos are probably so sick of hearing me talk about this series, but I just will love it forever and always, and nothing will ever compare. And out of this entire list, these two are the definition of soulmates in my mind. These two are the constant to live up to. The passion that they have for the sport and for each other, how they're willing to hurt everyone and everything in their way to be with each other, is insane. The obstacles that they have to face over the course of their lives, and just how truly at the end of the day, no one gets them like they get each other. I can't say enough good things. They're my favorites. Okay, moving on. Next up, one that I don't get to talk about a lot, but it's from my favorite author, and that is Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. So this one follows Misha and Ryan. It is a friends to enemies to lovers pen pal hidden identity romance. Misha and Ryan, when they were younger, they are paired up in like some sort of project across schools to like pair up people, like kids from different schools, as pen pals to kind of like keep in touch with each other. So they end up getting paired up, and they start keeping in touch with each other and writing each other letters, and they truly like develop a very, very close bond. However, then now where you meet them, they are both, I think, seniors in high school, and there have been some things that have happened in both of their lives, and basically communication has kind of ceased to exist between the two of them. And then when Misha shows up at Ryan's school, she immediately hates him. He hates her. But then Misha finds out that Ryan is his pen pal from his childhood, that he loved and adored, and now realizes that he absolutely hates her. And they both have a lot going on in their lives that, again, I don't know how much is like known before you jump into the book, so I don't really want to say anything or get into it. But then it's basically them hating each other in person before they realize that they loved each other over their letters, and it's their romance. I love this. If you read the Devil's Night series, some of the horsemen make a cameo in this one because Misha is cousins with Will, whose book is Nightfall, and he's one of the 4 horsemen from that series. And then also, if you've read Conclave, the little novella that takes place between Killswitch and Nightfall, you see Misha and Ryan making a little cameo in that as well. So really cool that the two are kind of like tied in together, but you don't need to like read one to understand the other. It's just kind of like a fun thing that if you've read both, you get to like appreciate that more. And truly, I think this one is just a testament of how much people have to grow to be with each other, and how you truly have to love some of like the ugliest parts of someone in order to love the beautiful parts of someone. And that, I think, is Misha and Ryan down to their core. They both have really ugly parts of themselves, but knowing then that they both see that and then choose to love and accept those parts of themselves and each other, it's beautiful. And again, with everything that they have gone through in the short amount of time that they have lived, soulmates. Soulmates. Okay, this one I might lose some people here, but I promise I still have a couple more like published books. But I had to include Manacled by Senlin Yu. This is a Hermione fan fiction, and it's just been top of mind because I'm currently reading another Hermione fanfic right now, and it's just so good. And I just can't explain to you the masterpiece that is this book, and how it truly has topped anything and everything I've ever read by like a published author, and that Senlin Yu can't even get like money from this because it's a fan fiction and this is just available for free, is like mind-boggling to me. This is truly the most masterful thing I've ever read in my entire life. that aside, Hermione fanfiction. However, I have not read Harry Potter. So if you have not read Harry Potter either, I've seen the movies like once. I've seen not Order of Phoenix. I've seen the fourth one like more times, but I am like not a Harry Potter person, but I was able to follow this just fine. So if that's a concern for you, I'm kind of a Harry Potter idiot and I was able to follow along with this just fine. So this one follows Draco and Hermione, and this is like Harry Potter meets Handmaid's Tale. So it's after the war, and Hermione is taken prisoner during the war, and she has order secrets in her mind that Voldemort wants access to. However, she was locked in a dungeon and like kind of went a little cuckoo. Well, not really, but they kind of think she has, and they can't get access to her memories. So they decided to send her off to Draco, who is the High Reeve now, and have him get into her mind and also give Hermione to him as a handmaiden, because Voldemort also has a new repopulation effort that is going on currently, and she is Draco's prisoner. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds really dark and messed up. It is. However, the journey that these two go through is honestly sickening. It's sickening and it's so good. So it's told in 3 parts. So it's told in present and then flashbacks and then present again. I won't even say anything more. It's huge. I know it's super intimidating, and I know I think there's some notion around fan fiction that maybe it's not as well written or well edited or anything like that because it's just on a website for free. But I promise you, this is truly the most amazing thing I've ever read in my entire life. So I hope that you give it a go and see how Draco and Hermione truly, out of everything, well, okay, I said that about Rhea and Kova, but again, another level of soulmates, the things that these two do for each other and go through for each other, all for their love. My heart hurts thinking about it. So just read it, please. Okay, I got my last 2, but 2 of my absolute favorites. Recently, Where the Mountains Meet the Sea by A.R. Breck. I will preface this that this is not technically a romance, so you have been warned, but it is so worth it. This one follows Roman and Luna, and it is again a childhood friends to lovers and second chance and rock star ballerina romance. Roman and Luna first meet when their families move next door to each other on the lake, and they just develop a really close friendship, and you see them as they're children, and then you see them in middle school when they're starting to kind of start to like each other, and then in high school where they are officially dating. And then you see that they have different dreams. Luna has dreams of being a ballerina and attending Juilliard in New York. And Roman has dreams of becoming a musician and going on tour with his band and moving out to LA. His father was a musician, so it's kind of in his blood. And their dreams, they find, take them in opposite directions. They end up going their separate directions, and then later in life find their way back to each other after they both have had some really interesting and messed up experiences. And I don't want to say anything more. I will just say with this one that I know some people are kind of scared off by, 1, by the fact that I say that it's not a traditional romance, and 2, the fact that you do spend, I think it's around 160 pages of them between when their families move next door to each other, so when they're 5 and 6, and then when they're graduating high school, it's about 160 pages of the book, and then the rest of them are adults in the future. So I think that's a lot for some people, and honestly, I thought that it was going to be a lot for me too. However, I can't tell you how vital those early years are between them and how vital those building blocks of their relationship are for them to go through everything in the future and find their way back to one another. I can't tell you enough how truly important that first 160 pages is. So truly cherish and love every single moment of them together. And again, this is just one where it's I think years could have passed. I think they could have been 80 years old and in a nursing home, and they somehow would have found their way back to each other because the universe, it would have been too cruel to keep these two characters apart. I just can't preface how much this book absolutely and utterly destroyed me, how much I love it, how much I think these two characters deserved everything good in the world, even when the world just threw shit at the two of them. I love this story. I'll leave it at that. And lastly, one of my other favorite recent reads is Vibe by Eliza James. So this one follows Ruby and Aura. This is a dark, sapphic cult romance. So Aura, she grew up in a cult and she has escaped, and now she's, I think, in her early 20s, and she has a boyfriend. she has some friends, she has a photography business. She's really just trying to like move on with her life. And one night she goes out with her boyfriend and her friends to this one club, and there she ends up seeing Ruby, who is a dancer at this club, and they just immediately have a connection, and Ruby ends up hanging out with Aura and her group of friends that night, and they start to realize that like, oh, we actually like, oh, there's something here. But again, Aura, she has a boyfriend. She's not in a great space in her life. And she's like, you know what? I just can't like engage with you. And Ruby's like, okay, whatever. So Aura is definitely trying to outrun her past. And then I don't want to say anything about Ruby's, but she definitely is trying to outrun things as well. And she is very, very stuck in a dark place in her life as well. And with some very, very bad people surrounding her. And they both have very bad people surrounding them, and then it's truly that they just find the light in each other, and they just have an electric connection that I can't describe it as anything else other than soulmates. And I think once you get into the book, you realize how they truly have been soulmates forever and always, but how their connection with each other is truly the only bright light that the other has. It's beautiful. I love it. The cult is like really dark and messed up. The things that Ruby and Aura both go through are absolutely horrible, but truly the way that they are just always there for each other and going to pull each other out through everything thick and thin. It's perfect. So yes, that's theirs. So anyways, that is it for today's video. Like I said, I have way more soulmates, so I could definitely make a part 2 of this video, but these are just the ones that I felt like talking about today. So anyways, that is it for today's video, and I will see you when I see ya.